Hi, this is David, founder and CEO of Pure Juicer. Today we're going to make orange juice and we're going to use the brand new Pure twice as strong MSHP press cloth. In addition to being twice as strong, the cloth appears to be even lower stick than previous, and I'm going to do something I haven't tested, which is to see what happens if I juice oranges without using a liner. Normally oranges are so sticky they adhere heavily to the press cloth, and I believe with this press cloth they're going to barely adhere at all. So let's go ahead and see what happens. First thing to do is to prepare our oranges. What I like to do is I like to make 3 cuts. I take the top and the bottom off, and then I slice the orange in half. After I slice the orange in half, I take off as much of the skin as I can without removing the pit. And what I like to do is I like to slice the orange at 90-degree quadrants so that I have 4 cuts like this, and then I take off the remaining bits of orange. This orange I'm going to need to do a little additional trimming as I have little bits of skin on them, and that's just the way it is. Not all vegetables slice equally. So after doing this, we will do the other half, same way. And another thing I'd like you to notice about my knife technique is I'm cutting in 3 angles. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you're using a smaller knife, or you can sometimes just do it as one smooth motion. With this particular knife, it's almost easier to do it as 3 motions. But I just want to show you how I'm following the curvature of the orange. And then what I found with oranges is that I can put about 3 in a press cloth, and that's the maximum that fits in the press. 3 halves of the orange are about the maximum that fit in the press cloth comfortably. Many of you will notice that I'm using a really big knife. I like really big knives, but one nice thing to do with a cleaver, or for that matter any other knife, is that you can sweep your debris away with it. It's just a nice thing to be able to do. Okay, so now I'm going to sweep my debris to the side, and I am going to make my orange juice. So you have the new press cloth that I was talking about. And this material is actually twice as strong as our previous material in its tear strength. Oh, there's a little bit I missed. And it's also made from a different style of yarn. And this different style of yarn, food grade yarn, is smoother. And this is why I anticipate that we're not going to have the stick problem with orange. We'll find out shortly. And we do, as we always do, our tic-tac-toe fold. These are big oranges. Let's see what happens. Transfer to the press. Press up. When the press begins to squeeze, we're going to slow it down a lot because this is a big load in the press, and it would very easily squirt or overflow because it is pushing the limit of what will fit. So I'm gonna squeeze it flat pretty carefully, and then once I've squeezed it flat, I'm actually going to refold it. So I'm gradually increasing the pressure, and now I'm going to refold this cloth so that it's a lot more manageable. And we're going to see that we're going to have a lot less sticking problems than we normally do but let's wait till we're all done. So now we get to fold this nice and tight, the way we really like to fold cloth. Folds to the bottom, nice tight package. Center it in the press, always stay over the press piston. This time I'm not going to slow it down because there's so much room on either side of the pulp pack. So while this is going on, I'm going to do what I always do, which is something else while the process is completing. And this way, we're able to just keep going. And this is actually one of the nicest things about using a pure juicer, is that there's no time limit on the press, and you don't really have to pay any extra attention to it. So I'm going to do as I said. I'm going to take the ends off. I'm going to cut in half. And I'm going to refold this one more time. This time well, here, let's just refold it from the inside, just because. See, it's a little sticky. This is what happens with oranges. They're just, all the sugar in them makes it so that they want to grab the material. So let's finish this out. And then while we're finishing it out, we'll finish slicing the orange. And just as a comparison, I'm going to use a pure liner cloth, press cloth liner this time, and demonstrate the difference between the two. So we pre-fold the liner around the orange, and then we do the tic-tac-toe fold that we always do. And then we always do our last fold so that the folds end up down. Now let's release the press. We'll get to this in a moment. We'll transfer this into the press. We'll repeat the early press. We slow it way down because the press pack is so wide, there's no place for the juice to easily go. So this is the tricky part with oranges. You could use two and avoid this. I always like to try to put as much in the press as possible. Okay, so we've done a pre-press, and now let's just fold it in half. I'm snugging up the cloth to the inside, folding it in half. Never get your fingers stuck in the press. Now let's take a look at what's going on here. So, you know, the release is okay. It's not great, but it's a lot better than it was previously. And I'm going to show you the easy way to remove this material. This may look odd, but you can just take your knife and on a flat surface, clean off most of it, and the rest rinses off quite easily. Let's set this to the side. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Notice we haven't had to pay any attention to the press. Let's do one more fold cycle. So we're now in quarters. This effectively raises the pressure to well over 10,000 pounds of force on the pulp pack. And let's get the last little bit of juice out. as you can see, we're getting a nice straight stream of juice. When that breaks, we're going to consider that we've reached full extraction. So let's just give this a little minute. So 3 oranges, I am just under 1 pint of juice. And I'm right at 400 milliliters of juice. So let's see what that looks like in our 16-ounce cup. That's really a lot of that's a lot of juice for 3 oranges. Well, what did I say? 3 oranges. So let's call it good. The stream's about to break. We'll set this aside for a moment. While we're doing that, we'll drain out the last of our juice. And now with a liner in the cloth, see, the liner peels away really easily. A little bit of the orange had slipped out. It's actually an argument that maybe the simplest thing to do is to just clean off the cloth with your knife and then rinse it. Anyway, it's really a matter of personal preference, how you want to juice, and I'm just trying to show you what I do and how I think about it as I juice. Here's our glass of orange juice. Wow. Thank you for watching this video with me.